Last week was our first playoff game, and my plaque psoriasis was so itchy under all my gear. Sometimes just thinking about scratching could take me out of the moment. And then my doctor told me I could get clearer skin with a pill called Otezla.
Otezla apremilast is a prescription medicine used to treat adult patients with plaque psoriasis for whom phototherapy or systemic therapy is appropriate. Otezla can help you get clearer skin after just 4 months.
Okay, ready for the next game. Talking to my doctor about a pill was a total game changer.
Don't use Otezla if you're allergic to it. Get medical help right away if you have trouble breathing or swallowing, swelling of the face, lips, tongue, throat, or arms. Severe diarrhea, nausea or vomiting, depression, suicidal thoughts, or weight loss can happen. Tell your doctor if any of these occur and if you have a history of depression or suicidal thoughts. Live in the moment. Ask your doctor about Otezla. Call 1-844-4-OTEZLA or visit Otezla.com for prescribing info about cost, and more.
The Other Side of Midnight.
77 WABC.
Local Spotlight.
Good morrow, everyone. This is The Other Side of Midnight on 77 WABC. I'm Frank Morano. Imagine this. After 33 years in prison, you receive a letter saying you've been granted parole. Freedom is within reach, but there's a catch. You're not going anywhere. Not because you're a danger to society, but because the state of New York can't find a nursing home to take you. This is the grim reality for many aging, seriously ill prisoners in our state. We have a lot of inmates and prisoners listening to me right now. By the way, those of you that communicate with me through Core Links, I know I'm behind. I have not checked my Core Links. I'm sorry. It's on my list for today. Take the case of Westel Gonzalez, legally blind, wheelchair-bound, and suffering from multiple sclerosis. He's been languishing in a prison for 6 months after being granted parole. His only dream is to keep others from making the same mistakes he did. But his freedom hinges on finding a nursing home willing to accept him, a task that has proven nearly impossible. New York's elderly prison population is skyrocketing, partly due to longer sentences for violent crimes and partly due to other factors. Nearly 16% of prisoners are over 55 and 4% are over 65. These inmates often have complex, costly medical needs, and nursing homes are hesitant to accept them due to perceived risks or stigma. Meanwhile, prison medical care is inadequate, leaving individuals like Gonzalez without the glasses or proper treatment they desperately need. This isn't just a New York problem, it's a national crisis. Other states have found solutions. Connecticut, for example, partners with private companies to run nursing homes that specialize in caring for rejected patients, including paroled inmates. These facilities are less restrictive, more humane, and often save taxpayers money by leveraging Medicaid. But here in New York, the system is failing. Some prisoners granted parole have waited over 2 years for placement. Others have died in custody. Their freedom denied not by justice, but by bureaucracy and neglect. And even when placements are found, mistakes like incomplete applications can delay or derail the process. This is a moral failing and a policy failure. These are individuals who have served their time and been deemed ready for release. Yet we continue to incarcerate them under the guise of best interests, ignoring their autonomy and basic human dignity. Governor Hochul and New York's Department of Corrections must act immediately. We need dedicated facilities for paroled inmates with medical needs, partnerships with nursing homes, and accountability in placement processes. It's time to end this cruel limbo and ensure that the promise of parole is more than just an empty letter.
Beam me up!
To be continued.
This podcast is supported by Progressive, a leader in RV insurance. RVs are for sharing adventures with family, friends, and even your pets. So if you bring your cats and dogs along for the ride, you'll want Progressive RV insurance. They protect your cats and dogs like family by offering up to $1,000 in optional coverage for vet bills in case of an RV accident, making it a great companion for the responsible pet owner who loves to travel. See Progressive's other benefits and more when you quote RV insurance at Progressive.com today. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Pet injury is an additional coverage and subject to policy terms.
The Other Side of Midnight.
77 WABC.
Local Spotlight.
Good Good morrow, everyone. This is The Other Side of Midnight on 77 WABC. I'm Frank Morano. New York City, the Big Apple, where the lights are bright, the people are resilient, and now, apparently, the norovirus is taking a victory lap through every borough. If you haven't heard, cases of this delightful stomach-churning bug have skyrocketed a nauseating 159% compared to this time last year. And trust me, my whole family can vouch for this because we've all been there. If misery loves company, norovirus must have a soft spot for the Moranos, I'll tell you what. For the uninitiated, norovirus, sometimes called the stomach flu, though it's not technically the flu, is like an unwanted guest that crashes your digestive system. It brings vomiting, diarrhea, and a general sense of dread. Last month alone, Gotham clocked over 1,200 reported cases, more than double the number from December of 2023. And those are just the people who went to the doctor. Most of us suffer in silence or in the bathroom, so the actual numbers are likely much higher. So what can you do to avoid this vile visitor? Wash your hands like you're scrubbing in for surgery. Seriously, soap and water are your best friends. Norovirus is notoriously stubborn, even resisting some hand sanitizers. So old-fashioned hygiene is key. And if you're sick, do everyone a favor. Stay home. Don't be the person who spreads this plague on the subway. No one needs that kind of villainy in their morning commute. For those of us who've already endured it, there's a bit of dark humor in the experience. It's like a crash course in humility. And if you're a parent, it's a team-building exercise you didn't sign up for. It'll teach you the value of electrolyte drinks and the wisdom of never straying too far from a bathroom. Meanwhile, if norovirus isn't enough to make you queasy, flu cases are also up nearly 25% compared to last year. It's like New York is hosting a winter festival for viruses and everyone's invited. On a serious note, if you're eligible, a flu shot can help protect you and others around you. I got a flu shot, and now they say it's a little late in the season, but I guess it's better than nothing. Now, if you're battling norovirus right now, here's my advice. Hydrate, rest, and don't take life too seriously, because nothing will humble you faster than fighting over the bathroom with your spouse or kids. And if you haven't caught it yet, count your blessings and keep washing those hands. As for me, I'm hoping the worst is over. If it's not, well, at least I've got plenty of commentary material. Stay safe, stay healthy, and may your stomach stay steady.
Beam me up!
To be continued.
The Other Side of Midnight.
77 WABC.
Local Spotlight.
When we offer rewards for helping catch criminals, those rewards need to mean something. They need to be more than just empty promises or fine print that makes it nearly impossible to collect. Thankfully, this story has a happy ending for once. 3 teenagers in New York City recently did what we always hope good citizens will do. They stepped up. They recognized a suspect in a horrific crime and alerted the authorities. The man they identified, Sebastian Zapeta, is accused of setting 57-year-old Debrina Kawam on fire on an F train in Coney Island just before Christmas. This is a story that got a lot of attention, deservedly so. It's a crime so senseless and brutal, it's hard to even wrap your head around it. These teens didn't hesitate. They saw surveillance photos released by the NYPD, spotted the suspect at the York Street subway station, and immediately called 911. Thanks to their quick thinking and courage, the suspect was apprehended. And what do they get for their bravery? Initially, nothing. That's right, because they called 911 instead of the Crime Stoppers hotline. Their eligibility for the promised $10,000 reward was in question. Let that sink in for a moment. These teens helped catch a violent criminal, but there was actually a discussion about whether or not they deserved the reward because of how they reported it. It wasn't until the New York Post and other outlets started shining a light on the situation that the NYPD reversed course. Now, thankfully, the teens will split the $10,000 and each plans to buy a Nintendo Switch. Good for them. They've earned every penny. But here's the thing. This never should have been up for debate. If we're going to offer rewards for tips that lead to the arrest of dangerous criminals, those rewards should be given to people who actually help catch those criminals, regardless of which number they dialed. Period. This isn't just about fairness. It's about trust. Programs like Crime Stoppers are meant to encourage people to come forward with information. If the public starts believing that rewards are just empty promises with strings attached, what incentive will they have to speak up in the future? The NYPD got it right in the end, and I applaud them for honoring these teenagers' actions, but let this be a lesson. The next time someone helps make our city safer, let's not make them jump through hoops to be recognized. If they've earned the reward, give it to them. No questions asked. So to those 3 teens, thank you. You didn't just help catch a dangerous man. You reminded all of us that doing the right thing matters. And to anyone listening, if you see something, say something. Just maybe double check which number you're calling.
Beam me up!
To be continued.
The Other Side of Midnight.
77 WABC.
Local Spotlight.
What happens when the damage is done but the guilt is never proven? That's the question lingering over the case of Brian Benjamin, New York's former lieutenant governor. In April of 2022, Benjamin resigned in disgrace after being accused of bribery. The charges? That he allegedly funneled state funds to a Harlem nonprofit in exchange for campaign donations. The headlines were explosive, the news conferences theatrical, and the fallout immediate. Benjamin lost his office, his income, and was shaping up to be a promising political career. And now, the charges are being dropped. Federal prosecutors admitted they couldn't prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt after their key witness, developer Gerald Migdal, passed away earlier this year. For Benjamin, this is a vindication. For the rest of us, it's a reminder of a larger problem. What happens when public officials are forced out of office on charges they're never convicted of? Let's not sugarcoat this. Brian Benjamin was a terrible choice for lieutenant governor. He was as shady as can be. His dealings raised more red flags than a parade in Red Square. Governor Hochul, who has a knack for lucky breaks, deserves criticism for picking him in the first place. But here's the thing. Benjamin resigned because of these charges, and now he's not guilty of anything. Think about what that means. He was driven from office, had his name dragged through the mud, lost his livelihood, and endured public humiliation, all for a case that will never even go to trial. This isn't just about Benjamin. He's the latest in a long line of public officials who've been forced out amidst accusations, only for the cases against them to fall apart. What recourse do they have? Who makes them whole after the system chews them up and spits them out? Yes, the public has a right to hold elected officials accountable. And yes, the justice system must investigate allegations of wrongdoing. But we also need to ask, what safeguards are in place to prevent the destruction of someone's career and reputation before the evidence is fully vetted? Maybe it's time to rethink how we handle these situations. Should officials accused of crimes step aside temporarily rather than resign outright? Should they receive financial or legal support if charges are dropped? New York State has a similar law in that respect. These are uncomfortable questions, but they're worth asking. The reality is that even an unproven accusation can end a career. And when the system fails to convict, the stain of that accusation doesn't just disappear. Brian Benjamin's case is closed, but his life and his reputation may never fully recover. So where does that leave us? Perhaps with a lesson we keep learning the hard way. Justice isn't just about what happens in the courtroom. It's also about how we treat people before they ever get there.
Beam me up!
To be continued.